Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is the tutorial video for my August Fun Fold class. With my Fun Fold classes, if you don't know, all you need to provide for yourself are your favourite sentiments and your adhesives. So some glue, maybe double-sided tape, some dimensionals or foam squares, and as I say, your favourite sentiments with the ink to stamp those. I provide everything else in your kit, including the cardstock, the die cuts, and the designer series paper, all those sorts of things already cut and scored for you. So if you're watching later on YouTube and that sort of class appeals to you, please reach out. I can only obviously supply kits to Australian customers, but anyway, that's the way it goes. Anyway, here we have the 3 cards for this month. We have a really cute little envelope card here. Some of you will have this green colour with the little houses. Some of you will have the blue with the cute little birds on it. Then you'll have this really hues of happiness card here with the beautiful designer series paper, which you need to do your homework and cut that out, fussy cut those flowers out. Plus it also features the split card texture die to give that lovely grid pattern underneath the flowers there. So as I say, if you do your homework, fussy cut those flowers before we get to that one. You might like to stop the video and come back. And then we have this really cute sort of, I think it's called a standing gatefold, something like that. Yeah, so it's a slight variation on the ones I've seen on Pinterest, whereas the ones you see on Pinterest are sort of taller than they are wide. I've just sort of done a shorter, wider version for this class, mostly to conserve designer series cardstock for that particular one. Anyway, and I've just looked at my kit and I know that I haven't popped mine through the embossing folder, so we'll have to do that as we go. All right, so let's get started. Since I've got to do something with that one, we'll do it last. Let's get on with our envelope card. So this is a really nice card just to give just as an envelope, just for something a little bit different. But it's also good, you could pop a gift voucher or a gift card or something in there as well. You have a little card there that you can put your personal message on. So as I say, a very multi-purpose card, could be used for anything. This one, with the houses, I actually sort of anticipated it would be sort of like a housewarming gift you could do for that. But you know, any sentiment, any occasion, it would be perfect. I've actually changed my cardstock and designer series paper for the demonstration version, just because I had some of the beautiful, wonderful world designer series paper sort of calling to me from the craft room, and I'd wanted to get a bit of use of it. So yours will be exactly the same. You'll have a different designer series paper and a different colour, but apart from that, the technique is exactly the same. I've actually got 2 kits in here. So one for today and one for the recording and one for my Zoom later on. So it's a matter of getting all the right bits out. So just forgive me for a second. I've got that. Must be some ribbon here. I'll get that out last. Some designer series paper. Look at that, isn't that glorious? You can see why I wanted to use that. And there should be a embossed panel as well. Here we go. So I think that's all it is. I'll fish into that later and fish out whatever else I need if I have to. Okay, so this envelope is basically this one, the one I'm using here. If you like the look of that colour, that's Starry Sky. So that's one of the new in colours for 22-24. So it's one of our new current in colours. So this is 8 1/4 inches long by 5 1/2 inches tall, and it's been scored at 2.5 and 6.5, which I probably should turn it that way, 2.5 and 6.5. So that's where we get our scores from. Don't worry too much about the measurements and things. As usual, I will pop a post up on my website eventually. Might not be today, might not be this week, but it'll definitely be over the next few weeks or couple of weeks, maybe hopefully a week. I'll set myself a task over the next week or so. I'll pop up the measurements. Okay, so with your card base, we might as well start first of all by adding some double-sided tape to the smaller of the two flaps. So this little bottom one, this is going to be the one that forms the envelope for our little inner tag. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Try and stick as close to the edge as you can, just so you leave yourself the optimum length for your card to slip in. Just pop the double-sided tape on there, lift it up and firm it down. And that, as easy as that, forms the little envelope for the eventual gift card or whatever it is you're going to use it for. As easy as that. Then for the front, I might give this a little bit of a burnish just so it stays closed. Straight on the top, you've got on the top flap, you've got your designer series paper to go. I'll pop some glue on the back of that. As I said, some of you will have the pretty houses and some of you will have the little bird. I've got this glorious, wonderful world designer series paper, which is actually it's a freebie at the moment with Celebration. Depending on when you're watching this video, it ends at the end of August. So if you're watching it and you love it, go for it. Actually, the paper you're actually using is a Celebration freebie as well. So if you love that, make sure you grab that as well. Okay, so that's the piece of designer series paper going on the top. Then you've got a layer of that has been embossed with the Fern 3D embossing folder. So it's a current item as well. So if you love the look of those beautiful ferns, please pop on and buy that as well. And that's going to pop on the outside of that little envelope there, just like that. So it just gives a little bit of design to the bottom part. So that's our little envelope, easy peasy, nothing to that at all. It's wonderful. Okay, then, and I've mucked this up. I always do this, the ribbon. We need the ribbon on there. Okay, so you've got a piece of ribbon. I don't know how much ribbon I've given everyone, probably about 17 inches, something like that. So we need to pop the ribbon on. And oh my goodness me, probably should have popped that behind the designer series paper. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut myself another piece of designer series paper and do it properly. I definitely hope you're watching this video before you make the cards. This is a classic Julianne issue that she forgets to put the ribbon on and then she has to play it by ear. So that piece of designer series paper would have been 2.5 or 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, let's start again. I'm not going to start again, but I'm just rewinding. Somebody said to me once they like the fact that I make mistakes on my videos, and so I'm sure they're absolutely loving this. Okay, so you've got your piece of designer series paper. We're going to pop our ribbon around it. So I'm just going to pop some double-sided tape on the back, which is what I normally do when I'm attaching my ribbon. And then the ribbon's going to go towards the bottom third of the designer series paper. This paper's got a distinctive way, that's right. So towards the bottom third, so I'm just going to pop one end of the ribbon. I'm using the denim ribbon. This is actually a retired one, but it is one of my favourites, so I'd like to use it up, and it goes really nicely with the blues in this designer series paper. I'm going to trim off the end, curl that under. Okay, so that's where the ribbon should be. Now I'm going to just continue with some glue and pop that on the top of the top flap of the envelope. Since I've already got one on there, I'm going to line them up so that you don't see it. How's that? Okay, so that's what it should look like there. There we are. Apologies from that. As I say, I hope you're watching the videos first, which is what I always say to my ladies. Watch the video first, because you never know, I may have had to redo something. In this case I have. So what's left of the ribbon, I'm going to actually make a little bow there to the left hand side, but I'll do that once I've got the sentiment box on, so I know what position I'm going to be working on. We might do the little card for the insert now. So you've got a square of your to be your evening evergreen or night of navy, and a white one, obviously. So that's going to pop on top of there. And then you've also got a wee strip of the designer series paper, just the leftovers from cutting the card kits. You know me, I don't like to waste anything. So we're just going to pop that little strip of designer series paper. Choose whatever side you like. You might like to go the other side for a bit of contrast. That's just going to pop straight on the bottom there. There we are. Mine's a little bit short. Yours will be a bit longer than that, but that's fine. Just a little wee bit of paper there just to bring the pattern from the outside into the inside. We'll stamp that with another sentiment when we're a little further down the line. Okay, so now our sentiment boxes. So you've got these sentiment boxes are from the All That dies, and I do go on about these dies a lot, I know, but they do have some lovely sentiment boxes in there. So you should have a white one and a blue one, or a green one, whatever the colour of your card base is. Now I think about it, I can't remember cutting this one for everyone. So if you are missing this, please reach out, because I will cut one for you and pop it in the post. We might decide you don't mind too much, you can live without it. But yes, if you have missing the coloured square, please yell out and I will send it. I may have sent it. I'm just a wee bit absent-minded these days with everything happening. So I'm going to pop a sentiment on this particular one here. Might use, what am I going to use? This is from the Peaceful Moments, which is always my fallback stamp set for sentiments if I need one. I might actually make this a wishing you the happiness that this day will bring. Let's make sure that will fit. Yes, perfect. These All That sentiment boxes is a good size, as most of the sentiments will fit. I'm going to reach for my, now this was Starry Sky, so I'm going to reach for my Starry Sky ink. Okay. No, that's Pacific Point. Where's my Starry Sky? Should have got it out before. I obviously wasn't ready to do videos today, but I know for a fact that many of you have got your kits starting to arrive. So I figured I better get the videos done. So here's my Starry Sky ink. And pop that on there. There we are. Just love that colour. That is one of my favourite new colours. I am a bit of a sucker for blue, as you guys know. Okay, so with our coloured box, which hopefully you've got, I'm actually going to chop this in half, because obviously I want to layer it up with the white one, but because they're both the same, obviously you wouldn't be able to see any behind it if I don't do something a bit special with it. So I'm just chopping it in half just with the scissors. You can be a little bit more precise if you want to. Now I'm going to grab my glue. I'm going to pop some glue just on there and bring in my white sentiment and just pop the blue half behind and just sort of offset them a bit so that you can see just the top wee bit of the blue behind the white. There you go, just like that. So it does give you the same shape and slightly sort of gives you a bit of extra colour and interest to that. I'm going to do the same on the bottom. This is a good tip when you have sentiment boxes that you like to layer, because you can give the illusion that you've used a different size of the sentiment box when really you've just used the same thing twice. Glue's decided to move a bit. I might just let that cure for a second. There we are. So then we've added that bit of extra interest to that sentiment. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And I'll pop that on. So I'm using my end bits. Always use your end bits, don't waste them. In fact, sometimes for certain types of work, the end bits are actually better. Like for this, I think that's quite good, the way it covers over that and adds a bit more strength to that little gap that we've made in the middle there. Okay, so this one is going to pop, I'm going to pop it just on the right hand side of the card. I'm going to let it hang over the end of that flap just a wee bit, not a lot, because the sentences, the dimensionals are there. I'm just going to let that overhang probably just by a quarter of an inch or so, just to add another little bit of interest there. And it just hangs over a wee bit. There we are. Okay, so last bit was the ribbon. So grab your ribbon, which is correctly nuzzling behind the designer series paper and has been all along. I deny anything happened. And I'm just going to pop a wee bow there. There we are. Okay, so there is our envelope card there, or the envelope of our envelope card. Hopefully you like yours as well. We've got our little insert here. So we've got wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. So maybe a congratulations, a special day might be, you know, house, as I said with the house, it could be a housewarming, even a wedding. It's not quite a wedding card, but you know what I mean, that sort of thing. Even a graduation or something like that. There we are. Beautiful. Okay, so that is, only with a small trauma, that is your envelope card. So as I say, you will have the houses, or you will have, it pops in there, nice and firm. There we are. And it closes like that. Oh, bling. You haven't put your bling in. So be very careful, as usual, because you've got some bling in there. It will be iridescent gems. Now here's mine. And we need to pop those on as well. Goodness me. So just grab your iridescent gems from your kit. And we'll pop those around as well. We'll get into the swing of things today, I promise. There we are. So just pop your bling wherever you usually like your bling, whatever pattern you go for. I usually go for a triangle, just because it makes it easier than trying to reinvent the wheel every time. I'll just make my little triangles happen. Okay, so there we are. That is your envelope card. Anyway, hope you like that one. Cool. Okay, so card number 2. Which one will we do? We'll do the Hues of Happiness one. Okay, so this is the Hues of Happiness one. As I say, you've already got your grid die cut. That should be in your kit. The base is Granny Apple Green, normal size base for me, and you've got the beautiful Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper. So I have given everybody, well, I should have given everybody, again, if you haven't, please yell out, enough Designer Series paper to cut out, or fussy cut or die cut if you've got the dies, 3 flowers. So you might have 2 large and a small, or what else? A large and 2 small, but whatever you've got, you can fussy cut 3 flowers and 3 leaves is what you've got in your paper. If you did want to use more than you've got on your paper, just going to show you this here, you might find that you've got little flowers, and what you can see there, little flowers and things poking off the edges of your designer series paper. So you might find, if there's enough edge flower, you could fussy cut that as well and actually use it to sort of enhance the pattern, the design that we're about to make, just by popping them under the edges of the other flowers to make them look whole. So you've got your split card texture die. I'm using thick cardstock here because it's that little bit thicker. Some of the bits haven't come out. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I will just use it as is, and we'll live with those few little bits in there. So you have 2 pieces of die cut white paper, white cardstock. One of them is for the front and one of them is for the inside. So we'll just add those just as easy peasy. Just pop one on the inside. Don't know if you notice any difference with the colour of my card base. Don't know what's going on with me at the moment, but I let myself run out of granny apple green after I'd finished cutting all the kits. So I've used, Parakeet Party, which is a new in colour. Pretty much the same. It's maybe a brighter shade. If you can tell the difference there, it's a slightly brighter shade than the granny apple green. But that's the difference if you're looking at mine and going, oh, that looks a bit brighter than mine. That's the reason. I've just pivoted due to my not thinking ahead and using all my cardstock. Okay, so we've got one of the rectangles inside and we've got the other one on the outside there. So this one just forms the backdrop for the exciting stuff that's happening here. So what we want to do is just pop that grid straight over that other piece of white cardstock that you've already added. I did have an idea when I was making this card that maybe if you would like to pop this through an embossing folder before completing the card, it might sort of lift it a wee bit, but I'm not going to bother doing it today because it's I don't want to court disaster, and it's already been a bit of a disaster. So heavens knows what would happen if I tried to redesign the card on the run, which has never ended well. But anyway, so yes, you probably could stamp the sentiment, run that through an embossing folder, and you get that sort of increased interest that the embossing folder can give. Some of those are coming out, so I will push them. Anyway, some are and some aren't, so I might leave it. It's going to look a bit funny otherwise. Okay, so we're going to pop this panel onto the other white panel. This one will be slightly smaller than the original, so you'll have a border of the original white layer sort of sticking out around the edge. So we'll do that. So a bit of glue there, and then what I do is I will just add the thinnest dots of glue just around the very edge of the grid. Not too much. Just to let it firm down, and then add that to the rest of the card base. Like that. You might need a wipe or something just to wipe the excess. Make sure it's a clean one. You don't want to add ink to that because you want to keep it nice and white. Okay, so that's much of the work done. So you've got your die cut or fussy cut flowers, and they're going to sit just basically glued, nothing too fancy schmancy. They're going to sit along that diagonal and sort of cover that jagged edge. Not that we need to cover it, but it's quite nice to sort of have the white cardstock above and then the grid below. It sort of adds that sort of interest there. So that's the 3 flowers, and then we want to continue the job by adding the 3 leaves. So 1 there, and again use that to cover the rest of the jagged line. 1 down here. We've got this one which we can just pop in randomly up here, just like that. So that's basically what we're going for with that design. So we're going to just add those now. Now you may have the yellow like I've got here. You could have beautiful pink like this one. Or if you're very, very lucky, you might have my favourite blues and purples and Bermuda Bay ones. I just basically used all the colours, all the pretty colours that are available in the cardstock in the designer series paper. It was very much random who got what. Very, 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 very simple here. We're just adding these to that diagonal. There we are. Okay. Last thing to do, or second last thing to do, is to add the sentiment. What am I going to use for this one? I thought I'd use the Seasons of Chic, You Are Amazing Beyond Measure, just because it's a nice sort of skinny type sentiment that'll fit in that gap. Excuse me, hopefully. So just like that there. Yep, that's going to fit pretty well. I'll grab my block. Just going to pop this in black ink. You could match it with the green if you've got green in your flowers, or you could, if you ended up with the nice Bermuda Bay or purpley ones, you could use those colours for your sentiment, but I'm just going to use black here. You are amazing beyond measure. There we are. That's lovely. Okay, on the inside, you are amazing beyond measure, and I think thanks would go with that, wouldn't it? Yes, I think so. So I might put a little thanks. Now, if you did in your designer series paper that I've given you have some edge pieces, some little flowers that just sort of pop over the edge, what about fussy cutting them and popping them so they come off the edge of the inside? That would be really nice. I haven't actually got any for the 3 that I used, but you know what I mean. If you've got, say, what have we got here? Got a little edge one here. You could cut that out and line it up with the edge of the insert, and that would look like it's just sort of peeking its little nose onto the edge of your card. But I haven't got any with the one that I gave myself, so I'll just keep it at that. So there's our little thanks there. Okay, so that's card number 2. How are we going for time? 29 minutes. Oh, nearly done it again. Honestly, I thought I was over my issues today. Anyway, it's all good. That's the, what did somebody say to me? It's the joy of live crafting. So I'm going to pop some little, you've also got the iridescent gems in your kit. So I'm just going to pop those around as well. Okay, so that's better. It's not quite as plain with the bling. You've always got to have bling. Anyway, so that's it. So that's our second one. That's our combination split card texture and hues of happiness card. I'll pop these gems away now because I don't need them for the last one. Okay, so the last card is the pink one, the standing, what do we call it? Standing gatefold, I think we called it. I think that's what you find them. If you look them up in Google, you'll find them called that, hopefully, if I'm not telling a lie. So this one, it's a combination. It's using a Wash in Beauty designer series paper. That's the lovely pink one on the side. It's got our lovely daisy punch there. Uses the I've got to remember what they're called, the glossy dots. Some of you will have pink and some of you will have yellow. So I think the yellow actually stands out really nice, and that's what I'm going to use today. Plus you've got the leaves and buds and things that are cut with a currant punch. I think it's called boughs and branches punch, something like that. And again, I've got two kits in here, so it's going to be a matter of fishing the two apart. I've got that bit that's there, and I've got that bit that's there. Yep, I've got a sentiment box there. We'll keep that out. We've got some boughs, 1, 2. So you should have 2 of the big leaves and 2 of the little buds is what you should have. Yell out if you haven't. Got lots and lots of daisies. So you should have 2 daisies in dark pink, 2 daisies in a lighter pink, which will be the polished pink, which I also let myself run out of, which is unlike me. And then you should have 4 in white. So we are going to pop 2 daisies together to make 2 daisies will make one sort of composite daisy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 whites will end up making two white daisies, 2 full daisies. You've got a thicker piece of the designer series paper and 2 narrower pieces, and then you've also got a square piece of designer series paper, a narrow piece of design, and I realise what I've done. I have not given myself a piece of pink. I need to cut that in a minute. It's in a bit of a rush this morning. And 2 skinny pieces of white, so a square piece of white, a sort of a larger rectangle in white, and 2 narrow rectangles in white. But you also will have and a big piece of big rectangle of white. They'll all make sense in a moment. There's a lot to this one. No wonder I got myself all mixed up this morning. Okay, so you also will have a square of the pink that's been put through the Pretty Flowers embossing folder, and that's what I'm going to have to do for myself now. So just bear with me while I grab the right coloured pink. Is that the right coloured pink? No. It's a matter of finding a pink that is the right pink. That's not the right pink either. I have a horrible feeling it's, what is it? I think it's Melon Mambo, that one. No. I have a horrible feeling it's polished pink and I haven't got any left. Eek. Okay, I'm going to have to substitute. Thinking on my feet, I'm going to use a different pink. It's obviously a different pink, but it'll be fine. Just for the sake of the video, it will be fine. Okay, so that's 4. That's 3. So the piece of pink that you've got should be 3 3/4 square. She says, just thinking on her feet. And that should have been through the Pretty Flowers embossing folder, so I'll just do that now as well. Oi, oi, oi. Pretty flowers, there it is. Just talk amongst yourself for the moment. Bit of a clunk. Just when you start these videos, you don't want to get 3/4 of an hour into it and have to start again because you haven't embossed a piece of paper, which would be just silly. Okay, so that's, you should have also that as well. Although yours will be a different, more matching pink than mine, thankfully. Okay, so that is the kit that you've got. Okay, so let's start popping this one together. As I said, there's a fair bit to this one, so hope you've got your cup of coffee while you're watching. 2 narrow pieces of white cardstock and the 2 narrow pieces of designer series paper. You need to pop those together with some glue. Just pop the paper onto the white cardstock. And then these two are going to go at either end of the flat, the straight piece of cardstock, the big one that you've got, this one. So this one here. So this is the back of the card base, the bit that stands up. So, okay, so these, once you've got those together, pop them at either end of the card base. Now the paper does sort of have a weird direction to it, so make sure you pop it the right way. I actually cut my kits this morning, so don't worry, I wouldn't have made the mistakes that I've made in my kits on yours, thankfully, because yours were all cut a long time ago, separate to these. Okay, so that's your first step, basically adding those 2 narrow rectangles at either end. Then in this center spot here, we're going to pop this sort of concertinaed piece of cardstock. So this is 11 inches long, this piece of cardstock, and it's scored at 2 inches and 3 3/4 inches from both ends. So when you fold it over like that, it sort of forms that's the gate part of our gate fold. So I'm just going to pop glue just on the back part of that, just on the large back surface, and line that up in the center of your card base. So we want to line it up so that it's the same, you see the same amount of designer series paper peeking out either side, and that it lines up, it should line up perfectly top and bottom with the card base itself. Okay, so evenly by the sides and lined up top and bottom, and that's what you're going to get out of that. Okay, cool. Okay, so now let's keep layering. The next size up piece of white and the next size up piece of designer series paper go together. And they pop nicely onto the right hand face of that concertina that we've made, that gate. So just on the right hand side, not the left. We've got other ideas, we've got other plans for that side, but just onto that right hand gate. We pop this one. A lot of the standing gatefold cards that I've seen have left this right hand gate not decorated, but I actually quite like it with the little extra layer of designer series paper there, especially when it's sitting open and you can see, you'd be able to just see plain cardstock. So there, so that's where we are. So we've got 2 pieces either side, we've got our little gate mechanism stuck in the middle, and then we've got our designer series paper on the right hand gate door. Okay, we might as well, while we're at it, here is this one here, the sort of narrow. So we've got a square one and we've got a narrow one. The narrow one goes in the center there, and that's for our personal message. And you may like to, if you're watching this and crafting along, you may like to stamp your sentiment on this inside one now, because once we get much further on, it gets a little bit obscured and it's a bit hard to get into. So if you know what sentiment you're going to use on that in the center, do that now. If not, yeah, it does get a little bit tricky a bit later on. Okay, so there we are. So we're getting this one together. As I say, there's a fair bit going on with this one. Okay, so we've got a piece of white cardstock, and it's going to glue on the left-hand gate, so just on the left-hand gate, and on just on the half. So just where it touches the left-hand gate is where you're going to glue, not on the right-hand side, because obviously we want it to sort of wiggle around free. So we want it to be free. So we don't want glue on that right-hand half. So just glue there. Close your gates down and position this white one so that it's even all the way around. So same distance top and bottom, same distance left and right. Just looks like it's sitting on that front, just like that. Okay, so we're ending up with just this part sort of floats free, and that's the, I don't know what that's the, I think that's what makes it a standing gatefold for some reason. Anyway, that's what it does. Okay, so as I was saying when I said about stamping that inside panel now, if you wanted to stamp that now, it's all a bit cumbersome. You can open it up and stamp there, but yeah, so there's a lot happening on that front of the card. So anyway, so okay, so we've got our white front facing part here. So bring in your piece of cardstock that we have that you've got that's embossed with the Pretty Flowers embossing folder for this one. Yours will be in a pink that matches, not like mine. And we're gluing that straight onto the white layer. This is the one that's sort of only, white layer is only half glued, but we can glue the entire embossed layer to that. Okay, there we are. Okay, wow. This is a marathon. Okay, so now we'll pop that aside and just let all the glue dry. We'll bring in our little daisies. So what you want to do is grab the daisies of the same colour, although you might like to mix it up. I haven't tried mixing them up, but it's up to you. Grab your bone folder and your daisies and just give them a slight curl. You turn them into little pink flower spiders almost. They sort of sit up. And that just gives our daisies a wee bit of a natural look when we attach them to the card. Be very gentle when you're doing this. I have definitely ripped off my fair share of daisy petals just by being a bit rough, a bit tough, especially with the white cardstock. It's not quite as thick as the coloured cardstock. Just with your thumb and your bone folder. Last one. There we are. So there's all our little floral spiders all sitting there on the desk. Now what we're going to do now is just pair them up. Pop a little bit of glue on the centre of this one. That's going to be the back one. And then line it up so that the petals sort of lined up with each other. So they're interspersed with each other so you can see. So you get a much fuller flower than just the 8 petals. You get 16 petals, obviously. That makes sense. I'm a maths genius. There we are. So the dark pink ones together. And the light pink ones together. There we are. That's our daisies. What we might do now is stamp our sentiment. So we've got a sentiment box here. Again, this is from the All That dies. You can tell I love those dies. I'm going to use polished pink. Use polished pink or what's the other one, the darker one? Polished pink or what is it? Not mango. Melon Mambo would be another pink that you could use. I'm going to go back to my favourite poppy Peaceful Moments. I'm going to make this one. A birthday card. Might give this to a girlfriend whose birthday is next week. Oh. Happy birthday. Straight in there. You could put a much bigger sentiment than this. There's such a lovely large sentiment box. You could use just about anything. So I'm just going to use happy birthday there. Bring that in. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the sentiment box sort of to the right hand side of that little pop-up panel. I like to overlap it a wee bit. It just adds a bit of extra detail. Then we're going to bring in our daisies and they're going to sort of cascade down towards the right hand edge or left. That's right. So it's over the sentiment's on the right hand side and the daisies are going to sort of cascade on the left hand side here. You can tell I'm slightly right left challenged. So I'm going to pop some glue just on that sentiment box, keeping in mind I'm not going to put it all the way because I'm going to let it overlap a bit. Just pop that there. Okay, then we'll bring in our daisies. So I'm going to pop white one here and then the dark one up here and the light one there and then the other white one there. That makes sense. So we're going to go for that sort of look. Might start with this white one here because he's got a funny little leaf. I'll cover that over. So I'm just going to pop some glue on the back and then add the daisy. Oh, if it sticks. And this one. And then this one. And our last white one. Okay, here we are. And now our leaves, let's bring our leaves in. I love adding the leaves to cards because they really, I've said it before, I think the leaves really lift the design. Just add that contrast colour. So I'm going to chop these down a bit so I can get as much use of them as possible. Just some glue on the back of that. So I've just chopped the bottom leaf off that one just so that it'll peek its little nose under there. Okay. And our other one, chop his little bottom off too. Just keep those, we can tuck them in later in other places. There we are. Our little buds. Chop his tail off, he's a little bit long. Where you pop your leaves and buds is entirely up to you. Wherever you like them. You might not use them all. Here we are. Now I've got these two little ones left over that we chopped off. There we are. So, as I say, I always think the green, the leaves really lifts the design. And in this case, it's definitely done so. It's just taken away a little bit of that pink because we do have a little bit of pink overload with this one. Now, last thing we need to do is our bling. Now, as I mentioned, some of you will have the, I think it's the pink glossy dots, and some of you will have the yellow. I only actually discovered later in the piece how nice the yellow actually was. So I'm going to use yellow on mine, or gold. These are really wonderful, these glossy dots. I've used such a lot. You should actually have 6. So I've gone a bit crazy actually, giving you 6 of these. I'm going to pop the two large ones onto my 2 white daisies, and then the 2 next size down, I'm going to pop them on my pink daisies. Sort of pop him slightly under that leaf. That leaf's in a not good spot, but anyway, that's fine. It looks a bit like it's layered naturally. And that one here. Okay, so don't they look great? Look absolutely fantastic. And then you've got 2 small ones left. So if you are the, what do we call it? Superstitious type, you might only want to use 1 because then that would make 5 embellishments on the card. So that's 5. I have given you 6, so you might have a spare one. If you're going to stick to the 5, you'll have 1 to spare. I'm going to use my whole 6 because I'm not the superstitious type. But there we are. So this one's got 6 embellishments on it. That uses all of them that you were given in your kit. I just gave everyone 6 because it was easy to cut 2 rows of 3 rather than trying to fish an extra one out. Okay, so there we are. I know that was pretty full on, that card, but it's really, really nice. It's got so much happening. Really, really lovely. Hope you like it as well. I'd love to see if you adapt the design and make anything of your own. I'd love to see it over on my Facebook page. But yeah, really, really like that card. And as I say, I think that one will go to a girlfriend for her birthday next week. Okay, that's our 3 cards. That last one took a little bit longer than the others. So hopefully you will enjoy all 3 of those. I know I enjoyed making this class. I always do, but this one particularly was a lot of fun. Okay, so there we are. We've got our standing gate. Oh, excuse me. We've got our standing gatefold. We've just finished. We've got our split. What do we call it? Split card texture hues of happiness, and we've got our envelope card there. So 3 really handy cards. Hopefully you'll get lots of use out of them. The next Fun Fold class will feature 3. What did I decide? 3 card holders, gift card holders. So 3 different designs of gift card holders using all different sort of die cuts and things like that. So and for different occasions as well. So I'm just going to grab 3 different gift card designs. We've got one that's sort of like a pop-up one that sort of has a central envelope. Yeah, so I've got 3 great designs of gift cards that I'm going to pop together in the next class just to sort of add a little bit of theme to it. And given that we've got the Christmas season coming where lots of gift cards will change hands, I'm sure. But anyway, I hope you really enjoyed that one. It's the best part of an hour. I think that's the longest video I've done for these classes. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll hopefully see you back next month.